Hey guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a recent reads video, and I have about 8 to 9-ish books here. Two of them are in the same series, so I'll be talking about them as one thing, which is why the whole 8 to 9 thing, even though there's technically 9, but we're not going to get into that much detail. And yeah, and as you can see, I've decorated my shelf for Christmas. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I also have fairy lights that I don't really turn on during the daytime because they don't really light up. But yeah, so we are in the festive spirit, even though none of these books I'm talking about have anything to do with festivities. Or at least, Christmas or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Stop doing that. This stupid thing. The first book I have to talk about is Emmazel, I believe is how you say it, by Kendra E. Ardnek. This is the third book in her Jane Austen fairy tale series. I have not read the second book yet. I have read the first one. I read that, I think I reviewed that in my last recent reads video, so I will leave a link to that in the description in case you missed it. And this is a combination of Emma and Rapunzel. And yeah, I have never read a Jane Austen book or watched an adaptation, but oddly enough, from just by hearsay, I know a little bit about Emma. The plot for that one and Pride and Prejudice are about the two that I know from hearsay most of the plot and stuff, or at least what generally happens. And I, of course, know the fairy tale of Rapunzel. It is my favorite fairy tale, and yeah, I'm always up for a good fairy tale retelling, and this one was a really good one. I was also sent a copy of the book from the author, so I did it for review purposes, and I just really enjoyed it. Basically, yeah, it's just the plot of Emma mixed with Rapunzel, I'm assuming. Like I said, never read Emma before, so basically Emmazel is in this tower with her father and a talking cat named Night, and basically any companions, her female companions her father can find for her. The thing is, her companions never stay very long because she keeps getting them married, because then people come to the nights and stuff, men come to the tower thinking she needs to be rescued, and she kind of makes people, and she can make love potions, so she keeps going through a bunch of companions, and then certain things start happening, and her world just kind of spirals out of control from this nice, orderly way she's been living. And yeah, it was just really enjoyable, really fun. I gave it like 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it more than the first book, which was Rose Petals and Snowflakes. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Emmazel did annoy me a bit in the beginning. She just had this kind of high and lofty attitude that I was just kind of annoyed with at times. But she did grow as a character, and she did get better and quit doing the whole high and mighty act after a while, so I really liked her better. By the end, the beginning, she really is annoying. But yeah, and I really liked my other favorite character is probably Night. He is the talking cat. I believe he is the Mr. Knightley equivalent. So I really liked him. He's a talking black cat, and he just acts like a cat, but he's also clearly has, he talks, so he has like some sort of human characteristics. And I don't know, I just like fictional cats, especially if they're talking cats, because they're just so sassy. I don't know, I just really like them, and I really liked him. So yeah, I would recommend this book, and I'm totally going to be continuing the series. I did recently just get the ebook for the second one, so I might go back and read that one first before I continue on, but we'll see. It's an ebook, so, there's no telling what I'll get to it. So, my next book I read is a 5-star, and that is Wishtress by Nadine. I loved this book. Yes, you've probably, if you follow any of the most Christian booktubers, or just any booktuber at this point, possibly, you've probably heard about this book. Basically, we follow Mirth, who is the Wishtress, which is basically a person who can grant wishes through her tears, and she kind of unleashes a wish that goes wrong, and in response she gets cursed, so that when her next tear she cries, she will die. So that's kind of a little bit difficult if that's what your power entails. So Mirth joins Bastian, our other main character, on a journey to get to the Well of Talents, that's its name. I kind of forgot its name for a minute. Yeah, the Well of Talents, to hopefully reverse her curse and, you know, get it fixed and figure out all these different issues. There's also like a divided kingdom at this point, and Bastian has his own secrets and problems, and things just go from there. And I loved this book. I would almost say this is my favorite of Nadine Brandis's books, which is really hard to say because I love Romanov and Fox. The Out of Time series, I'm kind of putting on hold on my feelings on it. I have read it before and I really liked it, but I haven't read it in several years, so I need to reread it before I can formulate a full opinion on how I truly feel about it compared to the other three. But yes, I think Wishtress is totally my favorite book of hers, and I just really love it, which is kind of odd because it took me forever to get through the beginning. I was in a really weird mood place when I started this book, so it took me, I think, almost a good week or more, or I don't know, it was a long time from when I started it to get through the beginning. It's a slower paced book, especially in the beginning, but I wouldn't say it's no more slower than, say, Fox or Romanov. Nadine Brandis takes her time to introduce the world and the characters in a way that the plot moves forward and it feels solid and like not like we're dragging our feet. But it's slow enough that you get acclimated to what's going on, but fast enough to keep the pace going. I don't know, it's a weird balance, but she does it really well, and she pretty much does it for all their books. I think like I said, I haven't reread them, but I think the Out of Time series, I think books 2 and 3 might have a faster start to them than, say, book 1, but that's also a series, so it's a little different. Wishtress is a standalone. And I just loved it. I loved Mirth. I love Bastian. They are both amazing characters. Bastian especially, I just really liked him. And I don't know why, but I think the relationship in here, the romantic relationship in here, might be my favorite of this author's, which is odd to say because I do like her relationships in her other books really well too, but this one felt different. I don't know what it was about it, but I just really, really enjoyed it, and I just thought it was really sweet, and I just really liked it. The Christian allegory at the end was just something I really needed at that time when I read it, and just, yes, this is definitely one of my new favorite books of all time, and is probably my favorite out of Nadine Brandis's books, which is sad because that used to be Romanov. Romanov is now kind of second. But I still love Romanov. But yeah, I just really, really liked this one more. Okay, the next book, I got to pull up the picture here. Oh, there it is. The next book I read is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Sorry about the glare. There we go. It's a beautiful cover. I really, really like the cover. And this is a fantasy of basically there's a world where these magical libraries are, because that is so cool, even though I wouldn't want these particular libraries, because if you do wrong things, the books can come alive and try to attack you, so I don't like that part, but the magical library thing is cool. And our main character, Elizabeth, she is a librarian, like, no, she's a librarian. Like a librarian training to take care of these magical books, but something goes wrong at the library where she lives, and she kind of involuntarily gets rid of an important book that, like I said previously, came alive and attacked. So she basically is exiled from the library, and she's given over to the Sorcerers Guild because there's sorcerers in this world who use these particular books, especially these highly dangerous ones that can become monsters. And she then ends up uncovering a plot to destroy the libraries, even though she doesn't know why. So she teams up with a sorcerer named Nathaniel, and they try to figure out what in the world is going on and how they can save the libraries. This was a really atmospheric, really good book. The plot is very, very simple, with the whole like plot thing, and there's an evil guy trying to take over and do certain things and whatever. But I didn't think that detracted from the book. I think that actually aided the book, because then you were able to focus on also the character growth between Nathaniel and Elizabeth, and then just their different growths and what they were going through. It's a very I wouldn't say it's slow paced. It is slower than, say, some very high action books, but I think that was a benefit to it because then it had time to take you through the libraries and introduce you to this world and also the plot, but there was enough action and pace moving that it never felt like it was dragging. I did read the author's previous work to this, An Enchantment of Ravens, last year, and I didn't really like it. I just wanted to try this one because magical libraries, hello, that is a cool thing. But I really enjoyed this one more than An Enchantment of Ravens. That one I felt, there was nothing wrong with it per se, I just didn't connect with the characters. That one was about Fae. I didn't connect with the characters very well, and I don't know. I just didn't like that one as much, but this one I definitely did. Elizabeth is a great character. Nathaniel Snark is perfect. If you love some snarky characters, he is a perfect one. There is a thing, sorcerers in this world do have connections to demons. I say that with air quotes because these demons do not have any resemblance at all to biblical demons or real life demons. I have heard this book is compared as kind of almost a fan fiction to Howl's Moving Castle. So if you've read that book or watched the movie, and I would say I've watched the movie and I would say it definitely has the same vibes. And the bond in that movie and book between Howl and Calcifer, the fire demon, is exactly the same as between these sorcerers, which Nathaniel and his demon Silas. They have a very similar bond. So if you weren't bothered by that connection in Howl's Moving Castle, I don't think you'll be bothered by it in here. Honestly, I don't consider these like Silas and his kin demons. They do not. They are evil. They do have some evil traits to them, but I would call them more monsters, with the term demon being used in place of monster. So do your own research on that if you would be bothered by that, but if you're okay with the way Howl's Moving Castle is, if you, like I've said, if you've read that book or watched that movie, then you'll probably be okay with this one. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and I have heard that there's a prequel a sequel novella being published next month, so in January. So I'm really excited about that one because I really want to hang out with these characters some more and see some more of their adventures. Okay, the next book I have is a slight disappointment, though I was expecting it, and that is Flashback by Shannon Messenger. This is Keeper of the Lost Cities, Book 7. Yeah, I'm not going to say much about the plot in all, because obviously it's the 7th book in a series, so there's not much I can truly say, but this chunker, how long is it? It's 845 pages, this book. And over half of it, I kid you not, like half of this book, I kid you not, somewhere around here, this is the beginning, we stay in one spot. Literally. I mean, prompts to the author for being able to write that without making me bored, and still progressing the plot even though the characters aren't moving anywhere. Yeah, that was interesting. As the series has grown as well and the characters have gotten older, Sophie's like 15 now, I think, there has been more of the romantic side, because if you've heard about the series, you've probably heard about the love triangle. I was aware of it as well when I went into it, even though I hate love triangles. I decided to go into it anyways, and it definitely turned out more in this one, and I do not like the direction it went, though I have a feeling from some vague reviews I've seen of the next few books, it doesn't stay this way, which I'm very happy about, but the current person Sophie is with, I do not like them, and yeah, I do not like their relationship. Every time those scenes kind of came up, like the more romantic type ones, I just kind of cringed or just squirmed inwardly and just wanted to run away, because yeah, it just doesn't work for me. But yeah, that unfortunately was in here a lot. So yeah, there's hardly any action. Pretty much the only action is right at the beginning and right at the end in the climax. And that's it. And, which is very weird because this series, they're always running around doing things, chasing after the never seen, doing whatever. And there wasn't that much of that in here. So I get this is more like a bridge book between books 6 and 8 of kind of like building up to something. But yeah. And the writing is still very good. I do like Shannon Messenger's writing. She writes very well. The characters are good and they're still developing at a decent pace, and being continuously having, you know, growing from the previous books, which is not an easy feat. I'm only writing a trilogy and I'm finding it hard. So a 7+ book series, that is major props to the author. And I do not like Fitz. I will put that out there. Fitz is a terrible, toxic character, and I do not like him. He is a terrible friend. He would be a terrible boyfriend. Yeah, he needs to get his attitude adjusted, and he needs to get, like, a total internal makeover, and he needs to get off his high horse now. So, those are my final opinions on Flashback. Okay, and the next book is also a disappointment. Let me see if I can find it on here. Here it is. Which is sad because I really, really wanted to like this one, but I'll get to that in a minute. And that is Prince of Song and Sea by, I believe it's Linsey Miller. I believe that's how you say her name. This is a gorgeous cover. I love the cover. It's beautiful. This is the first book in a new series. In fact, it just released this year. I think it was October or November it released. And it is a Disney Prince novel. Basically, it's a new series where these stories will be written from the Prince characters of the Princess movies, which is a totally cool idea. And I really like I was really excited that they were starting with The Little Mermaid because I love The Little Mermaid. That movie was a childhood favorite of mine. It still is a favorite of mine, and I really like it. I like Eric and Ariel, so I was interested to see this from Eric's perspective. There's a twist to this story where Eric is cursed in this one. Basically, he is cursed so that if he kisses somebody who is not his true love, he'll die. He was cursed by a sea witch before he was even born, and you can all guess who the sea witch is. And yeah, basically he finds out that either he has to, there's only 2 ways to break his curse. Either he has to find his true love and kiss her, obviously, because then that will break it, or number 2 is he has to find the witch and kill her. So he decides to set out to try to find the witch, and there's like this whole thing with pirates, and then there's like this ghost ship part, and then this storyline is woven into also the narrative of the actual movie plotline for The Little Mermaid. So then Ariel shows up and things go with there, and it had the great setup. It had a great setup to be a really, really good, interesting book. Pirates and ghost ships aside, it was a bad element. I was just kind of, the ghost ship was fine. The pirates confused me, but whatever. This had a really great setup to be a really great book. I only gave it 3 stars. In all honesty, I probably should have given it 2. Let me explain why. It is not written very well. The author, this could have been written very well, but the author clearly was not given the time. This book should have gone through at least, I would say 2 or 3 more rounds of edits. It needed the work, and it was not given to it. A lot of the fight scenes were confusing. I couldn't even keep up with it. I couldn't even keep up with what was going on. A lot of the dialogue was weird. It was very clunky. It was supposed to be meant to be funny, but I didn't get it. So I just often stared at it like, huh? I didn't get it. Yeah, it was a mess. But it could have been done really, really well if they had done some more edits. However, I expect less quality from Disney all the time, so I'm not too surprised that they just rushed this book. Also, Eric he felt like Eric, but he also didn't. That's kind of hard to say. He definitely felt a little bit like the guy from the movie. Definitely, but most of that time he also didn't, which I think the author needed to have studied the source material more to understand him a bit more. I don't know, it could have just been with the added curse thing, she had to change his personality somewhat. He was still Eric, and his scenes between him and Ariel were some of my favorites, but yeah, he also didn't really feel like Eric though, so I don't know. It's a weird juxtaposition, which is kind of hard to do, but I have read, you know, fan fiction of people who write these characters better than what Disney hires them to write their books, so there is that. Also, I want to say, as an added note, if you're a type of person who avoids this type of thing, there is a gay character and a non-binary character in this book, and they're just there for brownie points, I guess. They have no really reason to be in the story. I mean, it's not like their sexuality does anything to the story at all. It's just there for brownie points, but it annoyed me a bit because it was because of that reason. It was just thrown in there. It wasn't like the character is just this way because that's who the character is. It was just thrown in there, and that bugged me. So yeah, just be aware of that. I will be continuing this series mainly to see what princes they choose and what they do with their stories, and mainly also so I can warn other people if there is content like this again. So yeah, we'll see how long I continue with this series, but I am planning on reading the next book when it comes out, I think sometime next year. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll get better. I hope so. And I really hope if they do Tangled, they don't ruin Eugene, because I will be mad and I probably will quit the series then. So yeah. Okay. On a happier note, let me find the cover for the first one. I'm going to talk about a manga series I just started. It's a 4-volume series, and that is Fiancée. Sorry about that. Fiancée the Wizard. This is the cover for volume 1. And this is cover for volume 2. They are beautiful. I really, really love the art style of these. Basically, this is a fantasy romance. It's a clean romance. At least so far. I've only read the first 2 volumes, but basically, our main character here, Philomena, I believe is how you say her name, she was reincarnated from our modern world into a fantasy world where she is not like the chosen one or a hero or something like that. She is basically is the fiancé of the wizard, obviously. And our wizard here is our other main character, who I'm gonna butcher his name, but I'll say it at least once. I believe it's Ejidirius. I'm not fully sure. She calls him Eddie, so that's what I'm gonna call him. And he's kind of been through the ringer his whole life. He's been looked down upon because he has black hair, which doesn't really seem like it's a problem, but in this fantasy world, the darker your hair color, the more powerful magically wise you are, which is a really cool element. And so with jet black hair, he is the most powerful wizard in the land, and it makes people fear him, especially because he's not exactly the most friendly individual, mainly just because of the way he grew up. And yeah, it's just, and it is their love story, and it's really, really cute. In the first volume, you kind of meet them when they were young because they met as kids and then they grew up some, so you see that progression a little bit. And then in the second volume, Eddie has to go on kind of a hero's journey to defeat a dark lord while Philomena stays behind, and it's just, that part I really, really enjoyed. I can show some of the art here. Here's some of the artwork and what it looks like. It's really cool. It's really pretty. Yeah, it's very pretty, the artwork, and like here's the colored page on the inside. It's beautiful. This artwork is gorgeous. I literally have stopped before while reading it just to admire it. It's so pretty, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I got this recommendation from the Clean Fiction magazine. It was in the spring edition, and it just looked really cute, really sweet, and it so far is. Like I said, I've only read the first 2 volumes because my library seems to be having issues getting the 3rd one. So, yeah, I really do hope to continue it. It's very clean. There's like very little to any violence, and like there's only been like 2 like words of language in this volume and not in the first one, which is surprising because manga tends to have a little bit of language, but yeah, these definitely haven't, and the romance is just really sweet, and I really am enjoying these. So yeah, I look forward to continuing volume 3 whenever my library decides to get it. So, okay. And my last book to show on the iPad, I have one more after this, so This one, let me see if I can get a better picture, and that is Rage Like the Gods by Nicki Chapelway. This is a high fantasy. Here, let me show you the cover again because it's very pretty. It's a little fuzzy on the screen. I'm very sorry about that because it's a very pretty cover. But this is a high fantasy, beginning of a high fantasy series, very much in the reigns of like Tolkien's works, or I've heard it also compared as a clean Game of Thrones. Have not seen Game of Thrones, do not intend to because of the uncleanliness aspect. Plus, I think it's just way too violent for my taste. But anyways, this book, Rage Like the Gods, is about basically in this fantasy world. They're entering in their third era. I think it's, how do you say the world's name? Rushtakar, I believe. That's probably incorrect. But this world, they are entering their third era, which has been prophesized for a while now to be the end of the world. Basically, these rogue necromancers are going to show up and raise the undead and take over. And so, the gods of this fantasy world have chosen 5 heroes to and give them a portion of their power and represent them on basically their earth. However, they chose poorly. They chose heroes who want nothing to do with being heroes. So these heroes, pretty much in the first book, only 2 of them know about their chosen one status. And pretty much they're just like, yeah, no, we're going to go live our own lives. So we follow 4 of the 5 chosen ones and 1 other extra character throughout this very long series as they try to follow their own paths in life and the chaos that ensues from there. This is a very, very good first book to a series. I read way back in February, I read a standalone book that this author wrote called A Tale of Gods and Glory, which is set in the same world. It's actually even the events in that book, the like legend behind it is actually mentioned in this book a few times, which I really liked. And yeah, this is just definitely a huge fantasy world. This is intricate characters. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 stars. I really, really liked it. I received an ARC for an honest opinion, which it took me a bit to get through. I think it took me almost a whole month to read this book because it is roughly 900 pages in paperback, and I read it as an ebook. So that's probably a little bit more, and yeah, it's just huge. It's really, really good. I love the characters. Eric and Maruna are my 2 favorite characters. Eric is literally the first chapter you see in the book, and he just immediately gave me like Flynn Rider, Eugene Fitzherbert vibes, and I just loved him. If you've seen the Tangled series, in the very first chapter, Eric mentions that he always has a comb on him, and he's like a thief, and it's like, if you've seen Tangled the series, you know where I'm getting this reference from, because it's just like, because that's literally like the first thing Eugene ever stole in Tangled. It's just like, okay, I love this guy already. I love Eric. He tries to do the right thing, but he tends to go about it the wrong way. So he just endeared himself to me. And Maruna is a magicker, so she has magical abilities. And she was just like the opposite. She was sweet and shy and kind, and I just really liked her. The other characters are Thyre, I believe is how you say her name. She's like the best boss girl. She's like a tough girl, but she also has a soft heart, and I just really like that about her. The other chosen one character we follow is Dagmy, I believe is how you say her name. She was the only character I didn't really care for much. She was fine. She was just almost a little too harsh, so I couldn't really connect with her. And then Eric, Maruna. Yeah, our 5th character that we follow, who is not a chosen one, is Azern. She is a high elf, and she basically can see the future. So she has seen some of these chosen ones, and she's trying to get them together, but it's so not working out for her. Yeah, and just all these different characters, their stories intertwine in certain ways, and just, yeah, I'm very excited to see where Nicki's going to take this series next. I think there's going to be 5 books. I'm not fully certain. And she has a whole bunch of different other books set in the same world as well. And just, yeah, I'm really excited to see where she takes this because I'm really anxious to read book 2. Just in case you're wondering, I was confused about this at first. I thought we were following the 5 chosen ones at first. So when Azern came on and she's not a chosen one, I was confused. We don't actually meet the 5th chosen one. I believe we're gonna meet her in book 2. So if you do read this book, you meet 4 of the main chosen ones. There's 5 total. I thought maybe the author mixed it up, which was kind of a dumb thing for me to think, but I couldn't understand why I couldn't find a 5th chosen one. But that is why we have not even met her yet. So that is that, and I am really excited for book 2. So yeah. And the last book I have to talk about is, actually I'm probably not going to say too much because it's the final book in the series, plus I'm planning on doing a series review, and that is Exodus Rising by Bryan Davis. This is the 3rd and final book of the Tales of Starlight series. This is also the final book of the Tales of Starlight, Dragons of Starlight saga. If you put them together, this is the final book of that one as well. And we just wrap up Adrian and Marcel's stories through their appearance in the last book of Dragons of Starlight, Liberator and Beyond. And I really, really enjoyed this one. I think I would say I enjoyed Masters and Slayers and Third Starlighter books 1 and 2 in this series, maybe a tiny bit more than this one, but overall though, I really enjoyed this. I really love seeing how far Adrian and Marcel have come, especially Marcel. She's definitely a different character from the beginning, and I love who she has changed into, because I kind of found her annoying in the very first book, and it's just like I just wanted to hit her. So I'm very glad that I actually like her by the end. And yeah, Adrian also has gone through his changes, and they are just better people for it. And yeah, that's about all I'll say, because I am planning on doing a series review of this one fairly soon. So yeah, really, really enjoyed this one. And yeah, that is my current recent reads. I'll probably have another one up soon because I have some other books that I kind of have piled up, but I wanted to make this a shorter video than my last one, even though this isn't that short, but you know, short for me. So yeah, let me know down below in the comments, you guys, what books you're reading currently, if you are reading anything, and if you've read any of these books, or plan to, or if you've ever heard of them. Yeah, I would love to know everything you want to talk about down below in the comments. I love talking to you guys. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!